Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Metal Gladiator Podcast. My name is Ian Sylvain, and I am the Metal Gladiator. Today, I am here joined with my brother-in-law, Ben.
Hello, I am Ben. Ian's brother-in-law.
Okay, we'll work on your awkwardness a little bit, but moving on. Okay, so, third episode in to the Metal Gladiator Podcast, and we aren't talking about metal. I know. Surprising, but this is music podcast only. I will talk about bad music too. I'm just kidding. We're not talking about bad music right now. This stuff is good. All right, so
Yeah.
Ben, would you like to introduce the album we're going over?
Well, I believe the first album that we're going to be talking about today is Native Tongue by Switchfoot. It's their newest release that was released in 2019 at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it come out in January or February? I can't remember.
It was January, I believe.
It was January?
Yeah.
Cool. So, Switchfoot is not one of those bands I keep up with a whole lot, which is probably is the exact opposite of you. But
Sorry, the connection was breaking up. I didn't hear half of that.
okay. Well, I was basically saying that Switchfoot is one of those bands that I don't keep up with often. That's probably the exact opposite with you, though. You probably heard
Oh yeah,
all of it.
I've been keeping up with Switchfoot for a while. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard everything that Switchfoot has to offer.
Nice.
And
The last...
I pre-ordered Native Tongue, and so I was listening to all the songs as they were coming out and whatnot.
Nice.
And I was very, very excited for this album, because as soon as Native Tongue dropped, as soon as the whole song Native Tongue dropped, I was very, very excited for the album. It was a great song. Fantastic. I loved it. But then the one thing, after listening to it over and over and over again, one thing that I noticed and slightly, bothered me, and I'm not sure how I felt about it, was the lack of guitar in the song. And I was like, okay, not all Switchfoot has like tons of guitar. It's not necessarily like their strongest point or anything, but it bothered me because they're a rock band. There should be guitar. And so I was slightly concerned with that. And then like every single after that, I also had very, very little guitar in it. And I was like, no, what's happening?
I know.
And yeah, there's only a couple songs that actually have like any guitar at all, and it's a little upsetting.
Yeah. And if there is guitar in most of the songs, it's more because guitar is one of the main instruments. It's dealt with like one of the main instruments, and a lot of the songs they kind of use it as a background instrument. You know?
And that was something that was rather upsetting to me.
Yeah, that was something that I caught pretty quickly though. Especially with the actual single, when the single Native Tongue came out.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's a good song. It's very catchy.
Oh, yeah.
The drums
it's a great song, but it's
the drums and bass went really well. Which, I mean, for that song, I don't mind there being little guitar because of the groove of it.
Yeah,
the whole
everything.
vibe of the song was,
Yeah,
it didn't really need it.
exactly. But then, like with the other songs on the album, there being such a lack of
Yeah.
electric guitar, it was like it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like Switchfoot.
Yeah. So, yeah, Native Tongue, good song.
Which was rather saddening to me. So
Okay, so, the first song was definitely more guitar driven though. Let It Happen, the opening track. It was a good song. It was a great opening track. I really liked it. And it honestly was probably one of my favorite songs on the album, to be honest. Maybe my favorite, I don't know yet, but from like the first two listens, I can definitely say it's one of my favorites.
yeah, Let It Happen, I would agree, is one of the better songs on the album. It's also one of my favorites. It's one of the songs that actually did have a decent amount of guitar. Like, it was still more of like a background guitar, but, you know, it was there. And I agree that it's one of the strongest songs on the album.
Yep. It was perfect for opening track too. And then right after Native Tongue, the big single, the title track. So
yeah,
they really had a good...
They had a good, strong start to the album.
Yeah. Another song I really liked, and it was probably because of just the overall, like, strangeness to it, is
Right.
Dig New Streams.
Yeah, that one stood out to me for sure.
Yeah, that was a really fun song. It was very different, which is why I liked it.
Yeah.
And it didn't really follow the typical verse, chorus, bridge, chorus.
Yeah.
Chorus, verse, chorus.
Yeah, that
just
one was
kinda
one
like...
that stuck out. It honestly feels a lot more like John Foreman's solo music, because he, has his own...
Yeah. I wanted to check that out too, his solo projects.
Yeah, I really enjoy his solo projects. They're really good. And so Dig New Streams feels kind of more like that.
Cool.
But overall, it's just like a really different song.
Yeah. It worked out well, I think.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I'd probably have to say, if I picked like three songs, my three favorite songs, and it's not just because these are the only ones we talked about so far, but we talked about them first because they probably are the best songs.
Yeah.
It's Let It Happen, Native Tongue, and Dig New Streams.
Yeah. I liked Oxygen okay, too.
Yeah, Oxygen was a pretty good one. All I Need, I like that one. That's the one, that's the one with acoustic, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was one of... It was kind of like on the lines of one of those acoustic songs like Dare You to Move,
Yeah.
Which
I didn't like it as much, this song. Like, it's not a bad song, but to me it feels more like contemporary Christian music, which is okay. But for me, the thing I've always loved about Switchfoot is that they have such a different sound from any of the other Christian music that's out there right now. So when I heard this song, I was like, okay, this is okay.
Yeah.
But it didn't quite fit the standard of Switchfoot for me.
Yeah. I think the reason why it worked for me, and the reason that I didn't get the contemporary Christian radio vibe, was because of his voice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's one thing. Like, his voice is always... He's got such a, different voice that You can't just listen to it and think the same. But as far as like the, I don't know, just the whole sound of it, the tune and the lyrics, just, I don't know, just felt very much like contemporary Christian music to me.
Yeah. But that's like, if you played All I Need or Dare You to Move to me, I'd know it's Switchfoot. If you played me a song, unless it was unless it's like one of my favorites of these bands I'm about to name, if you played one of the lesser known songs, I wouldn't know if it's Third Day, Mostly Me, or Casting Crowns.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'd name all three. It's like, okay, which one is it?
Yeah.
You know? Not saying that any of those bands have bad vocalists. I'm just saying that they do kind of share the same kind of vocal style.
Yeah. Yeah. But John Foreman's vocals are very unique.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's actually one reason why a lot of people have trouble getting into Switchfoot, is they don't actually like his vocals, which I don't understand.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
His vocals are honestly relieving because of how typical it's become, you know?
Yeah.
It's always relieving when you hear something different, you know?
Yeah.
It's not too different, because some stuff can just, like, be so different that it's just not even considered music anymore. Dubstep! No. But, you know, you get my point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I Voices was another one that I wanted to just mention that I kind of liked, alright.
Yeah.
But in some ways, I kind of feel like, well, I mean, Oxygen was on the second half of the album.
Yeah, it was like one of the later songs.
Yeah. This is one of those albums, and I've been noticing this kind of trend with Christian music, whether it be like Christian contemporary or Christian rock or anything, you know.
Right.
It's like the first half of the album, because most albums are like 12, 13, or 14 songs, you know. The first half is really good. Second half is just lacking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It feels like they like write a bunch of really good songs and they're like, oh, but this isn't long enough to fill a full album. So then they go and write a bunch more without, like, you know, the same motivation or drive for writing the songs. And they're just like, oh, we just need to fill up the album.
Yeah. That's something I've definitely been noticing a lot.
Yeah. Which is rather upsetting, especially for Switchfoot.
Yeah. So what I felt with, well, no, this is, okay, hold on. I was about to say that on my album review, but this was one of the album reviews I was working on before I started the podcast, because this podcast replaces my album reviews on YouTube and stuff. But, like, my next album review was Phenomenon by 1,000 Foot Crush.
Right.
And that album was kind of when I really started realizing that vibe with the half is good, half is just mediocre.
Yeah.
But we'll save 1,000 Foot Crush for another episode.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain individual that's 1,000 Foot Crush expert, and I definitely want him on the podcast for that.
Oh, yeah. I'm not the person to talk to about 1,000 Foot Crush.
Yeah. But Switchfoot, on the other hand...
Oh, yeah, that's all me.
Oh, yeah. So, kind of... I know we were mostly talking about Native Tongue, but I do want to say a little bit about some other stuff.
Right.
I only heard a couple songs on the last album. That was 2016?
Oh, Where the Light Shines Through?
Yeah, I heard the title track and Float. Really like those songs.
Oh, yeah. Float is so good.
Yeah.
I loved Float a lot. Where the Light Shines Through was pretty good, but there are definitely some much better songs on the album than just Where the Light Shines Through. That's actually one of my Like, it's good, but it's one of my least favorite on the album.
Yeah.
I honestly felt like Where the Light Shines Through was a much more solid album than Native Tongue.
Yeah. But
Because whenever Native Tongue came out, I was really excited for it, and then I listened to it a couple times, and I kind of just the excitement died down pretty quickly, and I ended up not even listening to it a whole lot. Usually when a Switchfoot album comes out, I'll be listening to it for like months, but I haven't actually listened to Native Tongue a whole lot recently.
Yeah.
But Where the Light Shines Through was one that I actually did listen to quite a bit.
Yeah. Which that's not so great of a sign with an album. Because that's something...
Yeah.
Because sometimes I do have trouble deciding how I feel about an album or what I'd rate it, you know? And that usually...
Yeah.
How often I listen to it has something to do with, like, my rating system for it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Because if I'm constantly
if you can
listening
listen to it nonstop, then it's like...
Yeah.
That means you like something about it.
Yeah, and if you keep listening to it and you keep noticing things that you want to touch on and want to talk about, you know, that's something else. If you listen to an album so much that you can write a freaking book essay on it, it's probably...
Yeah.
It's probably a 10 out of 10 album.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And unfortunately, I didn't get that with Where the Light Shines... Or not Native Tongue.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Which
definitely
really
more of a... I kind of felt like some of the songs were trendy, too, which is another reason... or another problem I have with Christian music nowadays is they're just kind of becoming trendy.
Yeah, like that's one thing that Switchfoot's... I don't feel like Switchfoot has ever really done is, you know, try to stick with the trends. Like, maybe a little bit, but not too much. Like, but then this album, it was like they just... all of their songs sounded like stuff that's trending right now. It's just... it's sad. Because... let me think. I feel like Where the Light Shines Through sounded like... it sounded like a combination of all the previous Switchfoot albums come together. Because you just could hear a little bit of this album and this song and a little bit of this album and this song, and that was really nice. But I didn't, I'm not saying that every Switchfoot album should be like that, obviously, but I didn't get that at all from Native Tongue, and I guess it's fine that, you know, they're kind of going with like a new approach, because I feel like every band at some point, you know, they hit a wall where they're just doing the same thing over and over again, and so they have to do something new. But I'm not a fan of where this new is going with Switchfoot.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah,
because I mean, you've stuck with them, you know. The last full album I've heard was the one that has stars on it. What was the name of that album?
Oh, yeah. Nothing is Sound.
Nothing is Sound. That was the last full album of Social I've heard. And that's like old now.
Yeah, that's an amazing album, though.
It is.
That's one of my favorites. But that was like 14 years ago. So.
Yeah. So. I need to catch up on Switchfoot, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
They probably have.
You're a bit behind.
Do you know how many albums they have now at the top of your head, or no?
I believe 11.
11. That's pretty impressive.
I think Native Tongue was number 11. Yeah, they've been around since 1996. So, 20-some years. Yeah. 23 years.
Nice. That's something that's not typical for Christian bands, too, to go through that long. There's some that do get on that line, but, I mean, not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I think Skillet, they started in 1996. And they only have like 8 or 9 albums. I mean, they're getting close, but, I mean...
Yeah, still.
They're still in the single digits, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
So, anything else you want to touch on with this album?
Other than my rating, I don't think I have anything else.
Okay. Well, overall, I think this is a pretty solid album. By, like, today's standards, you know.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable, but it's not something to be repeating constantly.
Yeah, it was nothing incredibly special. I couldn't continue listening to it for weeks upon weeks upon weeks.
Maybe certain songs, but, you know, that's only a couple, so.
Yeah. So...
What would you give Native Tongue by Switchfoot?
My overall rating would probably be about maybe a 5 or a 6.
Yeah. I'm going to go with a 6.
Yeah.
Because I feel like 5 is... Because, like, 5 is, you know, obviously, like, 50-50. And I really didn't feel 50-50. Because even with the songs that were, like, weaker, I still didn't think were bad.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a 6.
Yeah. For me, on Switchfoot standards, because, you know, as much as I love Switchfoot, I hold them to a higher standard. So that's why I'm giving them a 5, because I felt like this was not up to their standard.
As soon as I listen to all of their albums, I might change it to like a 4 or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So not a bad album, but definitely.
I would recommend it. I would definitely recommend it. Because it is enjoyable, especially for like background music.
I would definitely. Oh yeah, I would definitely recommend most of the songs. Probably. I don't think there's any that I can particularly say that are not worth listening to. But just overall, it's not the best.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna recommend Switchfoot, there are definitely other albums I would recommend first.
Oh yeah. No doubt about that.
Oh yeah.
But there is... Okay, I'm gonna go all collector here because I am a music collector. But despite how I feel about this album and that it is mediocre, there is a vinyl that is like a white, clear vinyl that I really want of it.
Ooh, that does sound nice.
Yeah. I think the only white, like, clear vinyl I have is Slayer's second album, and then my Holy Diver is see-through, but it's red.
Ooh, that's very nice.
So, yeah.
That is one thing that you know what? I'm going to give the album a 6, actually, because I really enjoyed the album artwork.
Yeah. Pretty good artwork. Yeah.
That raises my
artwork is something that I kind of do, just kind of slides by. It's easy to make it slide by.
Oh, yeah.
But it is part of the music. And of course, now that I'm thinking about it, we didn't even touch on production.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is fine. Because sometimes...
I don't know much about, like, music production anyway. So
yeah, but, like...
I'm not actually great at just, like, breaking down music and songs, but...
Yeah. The thing I have...
tell you what I like and dislike.
Yeah. The thing I have to say about production is it's good. I mean, there's nothing special or nothing too bad about it. It's just really solid, good production.
Yeah. I mean, they've been doing this for just 23 years. They should have figured it out by now, I'm sure. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm not surprised that it's pretty solid.
But that's something that I do like. That's one thing I really did like about doing reviewing discographies, even though I didn't do it. I only did like 2 or 3 discographies, was the progression of the band. I like talking about like the progression of the production, the progression of the songwriting, you know. Especially like, I don't know why, but like, probably because I was just really into those bands and just really into like reviewing those bands and giving my thoughts on them. But
yeah,
Skillet and Cannibal Corpse, it's an odd combination, but those were the only 2 discographies I finished. But I mean, those 2 bands each album was different, you know, and that made it interesting to review. Unlike reviewing all 16 albums by Iron Maiden, that was something that was really hard. I didn't finish it. I think I got like halfway through. I got to like Fear of the Dark or something. No, I didn't do Fear of the Dark. I was writing Fear of the Dark. That was one that I was going to do after like Phenomenon or something. But yeah, something like Iron Maiden, that's really hard to do because every album's very similar.
Oh yeah.
But like something like Skillet, you know, that was interesting for me to actually do the whole discography. It didn't like lose my interest because each album was different, either different bad or different good, but each album was different, so it was easier to review.
You should do a discography of Switchfoot because you can definitely see their progression from 90s until now.
Okay, well, I'll probably have you help me out with that because it will be through the podcast.
All right.
Because that
sounds good. Looks like I'm coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I want you to come back anyway. You haven't been like a rude guest or anything yet.
We'll see.
Yeah, like that was my original plan for the podcast anyway. Because I think it was mostly the Iron Maiden discography that killed me. Because it was just so hard to do that I just stopped. I didn't want to do it.
There's so many albums.
I know. Like, by the time, when I was filming it, the first few, like the first, 6 albums, they had 15, and then they added 16 to it, you know.
Yep.
But, you know, I think that was the one that really killed me. Because, I was reviewing Morbid Angel also. I had odd combinations. Skillet, Cannibal Corpse, and then Iron Maiden, Morbid Angel. I guess I was just trying to keep things interesting. Morbid Angel wasn't that bad, but they were still kind of similar with each album. So it was just... I really do think that it was Iron Maiden that just wore me down with the discography reviews and the individual album review videos that I wanted to put it in podcast form so I'd have more freedom with it, more stuff I could do.
Yeah.
And I'm doing top 10s and top 5s at the end of each podcast, like that's the last segment of the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's not an individual video, you know. Basically, each episode of a podcast is like 3 or 4 videos into one.
Yeah, basically.
From what I was doing before. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? Is there any...
Nope, I'm good on Switchfoot.
Okay, well, yeah, good on Switchfoot. We kind of did the intermission thing right there. We were talking about reviewing. I do have a curious question, though. Was album reviewing anything you really thought about doing, on your own?
Not really. Just because I don't feel like I have... I enjoy listening to music a lot, and I have very broad tastes in music, but I don't feel like I have the knowledge of music and everything to really go in depth about songs and whatnot, so...
Yeah. I get that.
If I had more musical knowledge, then I probably would, but...
Yeah. I think with me being a guitarist and being a musician helped.
Yeah.
And the fact that I am interested in like the production and engineering stuff
Yeah.
definitely helped. So
Yeah.
it is something, like, it's not easy. Like, same thing with movies, although I definitely think movies are more easier to review. Like,
Yeah,
even
I think that they are.
coming from someone who preferred to talk about music for hours, I think movies are kind of easier to review.
Yeah, because there's more. It's easier to critique
Right.
visuals than it is just sound.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sound is a very, very much more of a um, subjective thing where to analyze, whereas you can be more objective about it with uh, visuals.
Yeah. And of course, like, nowadays everybody thinks they're a movie critic, you know? They
Oh yeah.
write articles and do reviews. Like,
Oh yeah.
everyone's a movie critic nowadays. It's crazy.
Yep.
And half of them don't even get paid for it.
Yeah.
They start a Twitter and they're a movie critic.
Pretty much.
It's like, it's really easy to be like, okay, so what didn't you like about this actor's performance? Well, he was whiny. It's like, okay, so what, explain what this is. What string did I hit?
I have no idea.
I hit the G string. But yeah,
Why? Why?
not like everyone
Yeah.
could say, can accurately, not everyone you talk to is going to be able to accurately say that. Like, oh, that's obviously a G string,
Right.
an open G string.
Yeah.
Anybody can be like, oh, I didn't like this movie because this and this and this. I didn't enjoy watching it because some of the visuals were poor. They didn't put a lot of effort into some of the acting. It's easier to say stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's easier to
Exactly.
critique that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Another question. This is kind of going back to Switchfoot, but I'm just a little curious. What was the first Switchfoot song you heard?
Ever? Probably. He was definitely off of Beautiful Letdown. It either would have been Dare You to Move or Meant to Live, probably. Which, I mean, that's where everyone got into Switchfoot, really.
Yeah.
That's the reason Switchfoot is well known.
Yeah. Probably the first one I heard was either Stars or Meant to Live.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, now that we're done with that, we've got Switchfoot out of the way, we got all that other talking stuff out of the way, which is good to have. It has a nice flow to the podcast format, just talking about a subject. We did talk about movies a little bit, but it was fine because we were more talking about like the reviewing process of music.
Yeah, we were comparing it to reviewing movies and music.
Yeah. So, what are we talking about next? And
Next.
I will say, this is my fault, but I've only heard a couple songs on their second album, so this is going to be more of like just a review of their first album. So
Right.
we can't go into the other couple songs, but
yeah.
Introduce them, Ben.
All right. Well, the band that we're going to be talking about next is Nothing But Thieves. They are a fairly new alternative rock band. I think they started in 2012. And, yeah, their first album is called Nothing But Thieves. It's a self-titled album. And if you ask me, it's a very solid album.
If you ask me, I'd say I agree with Ben George. But half of the people that probably would ask me
Yeah.
won't know who you are, so it would be pointless asking me. Anyway, no, I totally agree. This was a pretty good album. Honestly,
Oh yeah.
from what we were listening to for this podcast, this is the better album. It's definitely better than Native Tongue.
Oh yeah, I agree. They have very, obviously being alternative rock, they have a very different sound than a lot of music that's out there right now. And it's a sound that I like a lot. They have some pretty sweet guitars.
Oh yeah, the guitars
And also,
was something I definitely enjoyed.
Oh yeah, I think for me the thing I like the most about Nothing But Thieves would have to be Connor Mason's vocals, because he has a really great vocal range and also a very, unique voice. So, yeah, even if, a lot of the songs that I like a lot aren't necessarily songs that I like because of, the guitar riffs and all that, but I tend to like a lot of their songs more based on, what he can do with his voice in that song.
Yeah. I'm personally going to talk about his voice a little bit later, because I do kind of...
Yeah.
I am going to be comparing this album to another album by, a alternative rock band. You might know who that is, but if not, then I'll surprise you. But I do like the guitars a lot, especially on the song Ban All the Music. The chorus, the riff on the chorus is just so good. That was probably when...
Yeah, that was actually the first song that I heard by them.
Yeah.
So
I think it was like the second or third song on the album, so it was the second or third song I heard.
Yeah,
so.
It's the second, yeah.
But since you recommended them to me, I didn't just, it wasn't a band I discovered and just randomly hit on any song from the album. I started from the album, one through whatever. But yeah, I liked, the bass, the drums. I thought the drummer was really good. He really stood out to me. Just the overall format of a band. This obviously isn't music that you look at and it's like, oh, it's a DJ. This is cool DJ stuff. But, it's nothing like that. It's like, oh, this is a band. Which is rare which is kind of surprising for a band that started in 2012.
Oh yeah.
Relatively new.
There's not a lot of actual musicians anymore.
Yeah, no.
I mean, there definitely are. But
yeah, there's a lot, but I mean, there's a lot more. It's funny because oh, sorry. Do you want to go first? Or...
Yeah, I was just gonna say you can't completely discredit people who just hit a button and play music, because you still have to be able to compose the music well and have create something that sounds good. But there's just so many people out there who just hit the most basic drum line and the most basic, and it just all sounds the same.
Yeah, but it's crazy that the name musician is kind of starting to become an underground thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Half of the best musicians are going to be found on YouTube and not in, record stores or anything. Unless you start going into the genres of, metal and rock, or jazz. I haven't heard, a whole lot of modern jazz, but classic jazz is pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one album that I compare this album to, Nothing But Thieves, is a the album AM by Arctic Monkeys.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they
That
were
is also a good solid album.
they're both really good albums, and their vocalists both kind of have that range. Although I feel like in
Yeah.
Arctic Monkeys he's a little bit more jazzy.
Yeah,
For sure.
he definitely has a lower tone to his voice, whereas Connor Mason can go really, really high. Like he hits some pretty high notes.
Which is awesome.
But they have oddly enough, despite their differences in high and low, like they kind of do have somewhat similar voices.
Yeah.
But
that was like the album that kept popping up in my head when I was listening to Nothing But Thieves.
yeah,
Which
I can definitely see that.
isn't always
Or
a
hear
bad
that.
thing,
Yeah.
It could be a bad thing sometimes, especially when the song or album that you keep hearing is like, it's like, oh, this song reminds me of this song. Oh, that's cool. They're kind of similar.
Yeah.
They take inspiration from each other or something. I don't know. But and
Yeah.
then it's like, or it could be like, hey, this song sounds like this song. That also sounds like this song. That also sounds like this song. That also sounds like this song.
Yeah.
That also sounds like this
Yeah.
song.
Yeah, then it's a problem. If you just sound like every song out there, then it's not good.
But yeah, but I honestly, probably this might just be because I've been listening to it, but I think I like Nothing But Thieves more. Because...
More than Arctic Monkeys?
Yeah, I have heard Arctic Monkeys' newest one. That was 2017. I didn't like it.
Yeah, they've... Honestly, like... I like... Really, AM is the only Arctic Monkeys album that I've enjoyed a lot. Because I went back and listened to some other stuff. And I'm like, it's okay, but... There's just something special about AM. I don't know what it is. It just sounds really different from their other stuff.
I haven't heard anything older than AM, but I have heard some stuff newer than AM. And the newer than AM stuff just sounds bad. Like
their newer stuff is more like their older stuff.
It is.
But it's like, I don't know. AM is just...
So what happened?
They just hit this. I don't know.
Because it's like their newer stuff's more like their old stuff than AM's. It seems to be like an album that's just different.
It's an oddball album, and I don't know why, but I'm okay with it because it's a really good album.
Yeah. But yeah, Nothing But Thieves.
So.
Good stuff.
Oh yeah, I would definitely agree that I like Nothing But Thieves better than Arctic Monkeys, because as great as Arctic Monkeys is, that whole album, AM, like a lot of the songs kind of sound the same in a way.
Yeah.
Like, which kind of works because, it kind of, they all tie together and they feel like, a cohesive album and whatnot. But, at the same time, it almost feels, in some ways, like you're listening to the same song on repeat. So which, I don't know. I still really like the album. But then with Nothing But Thieves, there's like a lot of variation in all of their songs.
I
like they still, all feel like the same style and whatnot, and they feel. I don't know. It's hard. I don't know how to talk about music. They all feel like they fit together, but they also don't.
Yeah.
They don't sound the same, like the same song.
Right.
Yeah.
There's diversity in it, and it's not like diversity because the last thing I heard with the musician saying this album's diverse was Invincible by Skillet, which is an album I actually absolutely hated. Because he was saying
Yeah.
it goes from metal to pop. And then I also heard the newest release by Coheed and Cambria. The guy says there's a diversity in it. There's metal to pop and stuff. I'm just like, any album that says it goes from metal to pop, I don't want to listen to that because I've listened to an album like that.
It's like they can't decide. Yeah, they can't decide what genre they want to be. Like, yeah. So
it's like, good grief, you're as confused about the music you want to write that you want to write as you are confused about a liberal's gender. They don't know what gender they are half of the time. But yeah. Joking aside, though, back to Nothing But Thieves. But I'd say this was a good, like, divorced album. Divorced in the good way, you know. It wasn't like too divorced.
Yeah, they know how to write, you know, really good and energetic rock songs, but then they also have songs like Graveyard Whistling and Lover Please Stay, which are just very like they're slower, more like atmospheric songs.
Yeah. You know what? I think I might have to change my mind. I love Ban All the Music, but Graveyard Whistling is probably my favorite song.
Oh, it's such a good song.
But I don't know. We probably shouldn't be talking about favorites because of what the top 5 is. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, there was songs in there that were very, like, atmospheric, that gave you a certain feeling. And then there was songs that were like, I want to move around and kind of headbang a little bit, you know? I want to jump up and down like I'm in the crowd at the pub and we're drinking beers. And no. But yeah, like, this is a good example of how a diverse album should be.
Yeah.
Not, let's see how many music genres we can fit into one album to make us look good. Like we're good writers or something.
Yeah. So, I know you haven't listened to much of it at all, but their second album, Broken Machine, I think is also a really good album.
Yeah, I've heard the first 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah, I would almost say that it's a better album than their first album.
Whoa. I know I've only heard 3 songs from this one. No, I'm just kidding.
No, see, I feel like, and with Broken Machine, I feel like the songs all fit together even better than they do on Nothing But Thieves, because, well, for one, I kind of feel like they had like a story that they were telling through all their songs, so like all the songs come together to tell a story, which might not be true at all, but that's what it's based on the lyrics.
They haven't like announced that it was a concept album or anything?
Not that I know of, but...
Because, I mean, usually bands don't do that. They won't come out with an album and keep the fact that it's a concept album a secret, you know? They don't do that.
Yeah. But I don't know. It sounds to me like it tells a story, even if it doesn't. Yeah. And I think it's really cool.
Which honestly, you can get that with almost anything, really. It's just kind of like how, in the way that you interpret it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a good thing, because even if that second album, I'm not going to say too much about it, because I haven't heard the whole thing. I've only heard like 3 songs, which are good songs.
Yeah.
Amsterdam and Sorry are definitely great, fantastic songs.
Yes.
But, like, if it was written in the way of, like, they're just individual songs, but then someone who listens to it and listens to the lyrics starts getting connections from each song, you know, he interprets it like you interpret it in a way that it's almost like a concept album, that's fine. That's your view on it, you know, which is cool. Everyone, you know, it's music. You have that interpretation freedom, you know.
Yeah, I feel like in their album. A lot of the songs on the album Broken Machine, they kind of delve into like their own like personal beliefs and whatnot, and I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's always pretty cool, depending on who the artist is. Because my goodness, I don't think I ever want to hear another Katy Perry song. I don't think she actually writes that stuff in there, but, just saying.
Right.
Like, sometimes it gets to the point, like, this, nobody else is like, dude, this is so bad, like, no one else can relate to this.
Yeah.
What does this artist do on their free time again? Anyway. But, yeah, I really liked, I think, what was the first song on their second album? Was it Sorry? Or?
No, the first 3 songs are I Was Just a Kid, Amsterdam, and Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I Was Just a Kid. That's a good one, too. So, yeah, those are the only ones I've heard. Or those 3, the first 3 songs. They're great. I'd have to say, just from listening to those 3, Amsterdam's probably my favorite right now.
Oh, yeah. Whenever they released that single, I was listening to it nonstop and watching the music video nonstop. Because that's such a great song. So, like, now I've kind of burnt myself out on that song, so it's not necessarily my favorite anymore. But
let's go back
even though I feel like...
Sorry.
Okay, well, I'm going to kind of bring this back into their first album.
Okay,
but
cool. Because I was going to go back to that anyway.
With Broken Machine, I feel like the album as a whole is better, but then, like, individual songs I don't like as much as I like individual songs from their first album. Like, their first album, I can listen to Excuse Me, Ban All the Music, Wake Up Call, Graveyard Whistling, Trip Switch, Lover Please Stay. I can listen to all of those by themselves at any time during the day, and they're great. But with Broken Machine, those songs, I feel like I have to listen to them in the album, not just on their own. Except for, like, Sorry and Amsterdam. But
which is a good sign. Because if you just listen to one song and you have the urge to listen to the other songs on the album, that means the album is doing what it should be doing. It's being played as an album.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm kind of like the same way with their first album, obviously, because it's the only one I fully heard. Duh, Ian.
Yeah.
But like, I can listen to songs just on the fly, but I would prefer to listen from track 1 to track 12 or 13, whichever one it was. I can't remember.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I also started listening to Nothing But Thieves sometime, I guess it was the summer when the album released. I don't remember when that was. 2016 or 17? Okay. I was listening to it in 2016. Yeah, it was released in October of 2015, but I was listening to it in the summer of 2016. And so, like, every time I listen to 1 or 2 songs from that album, I just think about summer of 2016, and I just have to listen to the whole album.
Yeah.
Because it gives me that nostalgia, even though, it was like 3 years ago. There's not much nostalgia for 3 years ago, but still.
Yeah. But, Excuse Me is a good song. That's what the album opened up with.
Oh, yeah.
Which was good. Like,
it's such a perfect opener.
I know, like, this is the thing I really like about a lot of albums I get into. And this is the reason I get into them so much, was the first 2 songs are so good.
Yeah.
Excuse Me, ban all the music.
Draw you in and keep
so
you listening.
Good. And I just can't stand it when, like, albums start with bad openers.
Oh, yeah.
Even if the rest of the album is mediocre or decent, if it starts badly, that's a bad sign.
Yep.
But I can't think of
I've,
any album that starts badly and ends good. If it
Yeah.
usually starts bad, it's bad, period. But if it starts good,
Yeah.
it's good. Or it starts dying off in, certain cases.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sipping water throughout the day, throughout the podcast. But yeah. I'm talking a lot. I definitely recommend, this is a little tip from me to anybody listening. If you ever want to start a podcast, have water with you. Because when you're talking a lot, you might kill your throat. Have water with you. Either just water or something else. Don't just have like beer or sodas or something. Like have something liquidy, water or tea or anything. Even coffee if you have to. I'm not the biggest fan of coffee.
Coffee is great.
What were we talking about? Oh yeah, nothing but thieves. Okay, so
Coffee.
let's just go ahead and shut up, Ben. We're talking about music here. This isn't the coffee podcast, the Coffee Gladiator podcast, okay? This is the Metal Gladiator podcast, the episode where we don't talk about metal.
Coffee Gladiator.
No.
Now we should talk about coffee.
No, okay, you know what? When you make a podcast, you can make Coffee Gladiator podcast, and I'll appear on it. Would you? It would be like the.
And you can talk about how much you don't like coffee.
Yeah, no. It will be a conversation between someone who likes coffee and someone who doesn't. I mean, I don't hate coffee. I'll drink it every now and again, but that would make a good parody podcast. That would be
just
hilarious.
Make a good podcast.
Yeah. And I definitely approve of it, so you won't get any copyright claims on it, just in case.
The Coffee Gladiator.
Coffee Gladiator. Sounds like a soccer mom or something. The Coffee Gladiator. Anyway. Okay, so let's just go right into the top 5 because it would be easier to talk about the songs on this album.
Yeah.
Because the top 5 that we are doing top 5 Nothing But Thieves songs. I'm just going to get the actual album. Hold on. Before we go into the top 5, I want to talk about the artwork.
Oh, yes.
It's really good.
Oh, yes. It's very interesting. Unique. I'm not sure what it means, but it's cool.
Yeah.
It's a horse coming out of a, foggy greenness.
Yeah. Or from another dimension into another dimension.
Yeah.
I interpret things weird.
It's a cool album. Just look at it.
Yeah.
Just go look at it.
I feel like I've probably seen the artwork closer to when it actually released, but I must have thought it was A1 Nation because they have horses on their second album or something. And I was just going to say this right now. I don't really like A1 Nation. So I didn't really... Yeah, I didn't really give... I mean, even though I liked the artwork, for some reason, back then when it was, releasing, I just thought it was A1 Nation and I never paid it any mind. Which I regret because I like the band,
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, anyway. So, Ben, since you are the guest and the one who recommended me this band and stuff and recommended the band to talk about, what is your number 5 pick for top 5 band Nothing But Thieves songs?
All right, my number 5, Nothing But Thieves song has to be Excuse Me. And I hate that it's number 5 because I love this song so much. But that just tells you how good the rest of the songs are going to be after this.
Yeah.
because I love Excuse Me because it's a perfect opening to the album, and it shows, like, listening to it, you kind of know what you're getting into with the band, because it has a little bit of, their slower, more atmospheric songs in this one, but then it also picks up and goes into like uh, the rest of their kind of music, and it also shows Connor Mason's vocal range in this song. So that's why it's probably that's why it's on my top 5 list.
Awesome. I'll talk about that song later. It's not... What we're going to do is we're going to do honorable mentions before number 1. It will be an
Gotcha.
honorable mention. It's not going to be
Yeah.
anymore. But my number 5 pick is the song Painkiller.
Nice.
It's really good.
That's a good one.
Yeah. When I saw the title of it, I was like, oh. I just immediately thought of Judas Priest. Obviously, I mean, come on, it's one of the most iconic metal songs ever. But,
Yeah.
I mean, there's like no copyright. It's just a word. It's 2 words put together or whatever. So, but it was a really good song.
It's pretty solid song.
It had a very catchy chorus. And it was definitely one of the songs that got stuck in my head. All 5 of these songs got stuck in my head. That's why they're my top 5. But this one was definitely one that really stood out to me, especially with it being like the second to last song on the album, being so low on the album. You know, where the album usually starts dying off, typically.
Yeah.
It was...
Just picked it right back up.
I know. Which I'm not saying... I don't think this album ever really started to die off. I don't think.
Right.
In my opinion. I think it's just a really good, solid album. But Painkiller, great song, very catchy. I really like it a lot, and that's my number 5 pick.
Nice.
All right. Moving on.
My number 4 pick would have to be Lover Please Stay.
Ooh.
Which is, a couple songs right before Painkiller. It's closer towards the end of the album.
Yeah, track 9. I've got it pulled up on my phone so I can tell you exactly the track.
Nice.
I'm not like only paying attention to what the songs are or anything like that.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorites because it also kind of shows, for one, it shows Connor Mason's vocal range because it's like it's all over the place with the vocals, but in a good way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a really nice, slow. There's no other word. The only word I can think to describe this song is delicious. It's just a delicious
That is
song.
a good word to pick, Ben.
Yeah.
I mean that both
I don't
sarcastically and seriously.
It's like I don't even know how to talk about this song other than to say that it's just really, really good and that you should go listen to it.
I got a little story to tell for a second because of the word you used. Well,
Okay.
I think it was a fine word to use, delicious, but it just reminds me of this interview. This one guy was interviewing the bassist and guitarist, or bassist / vocalist and guitarist of the band Immolation, a death metal band, and he was using the word delicious a lot. So the guitarist was like, when he used it once, the guitarist was like, I'm sorry, are you hungry? Because everything's tasty or delicious. So it was really funny. Which I like that. I like seeing bands interact with, like, they're not constantly, like, just answer, it's not like, just answer the questions that the interviewer was saying, get it over with. Like, you see that a lot with metal bands, is they interact more, they have fun with the interviewer,
Yeah.
It's more like, sort of like a conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just had to say that because you used the word delicious and it reminded me of that interview. Okay, so
It's good ear food, man.
Oh yeah, I like eel food. Okay, so my number 4 pick is Amsterdam.
Nice.
Um, Sadly, as of now, because I haven't heard the whole album, it's the only song from the second album I have on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably just add one of the other two that I've heard on honorable mentions because I think they're really good songs. But
Yeah.
Amsterdam just stood out to me much more, which is weird because usually it's like the first 2 tracks that stand out to you more so. But this
Yeah.
is track 3.
Oh man.
So it's like, that stood out
Track
to me more.
3.
It's just weird that you start noticing, like as soon as you start noticing trends like that, like, oh, these songs, like the first 2 songs are sticking out to me more of
Yeah.
like all this new music I'm listening to. And then you start listening to something else new, and then it's like, it flips it. It's like, oh, this one stood out to you more. You like this one more.
Yeah.
It's just something weird that some people probably notice. I'm not the only one, obviously. I'm not weird, okay? Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Don't spread hate comments and just be like, no one thinks about these things, Ian. Nobody's like sitting here thinking about, oh yeah, track 1, 2 are good, but 3, man! They say the titles of the track. I know that, but I'm just making a joke out of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
number 4, Amsterdam. Really good song, really catchy. I love it a lot. So good.
Yes.
As of now,
My
definitely my favorite on the second album. Sorry.
Well, yeah, you've listened to 3 songs, so. But yeah, it definitely is one of the better. I say that like the rest of the album is not good, but it's definitely one of the best songs on the album.
Yeah. It's fine to pick favorites, man. It's just music. Jeez.
Funnily enough, though, even though I say it's one of the best songs on the album, it did not make it onto my top 5 list.
Mm.
But Particles, the piano version from Broken Machine, did make it onto my list at the number 3 spot.
Nice.
Yeah. And
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
The piano version?
Yeah. It's because, there's the normal version, but then it's like almost an acoustic version, but mostly just on piano.
Nice.
And like the regular, just the normal version of Particles is really good too, but for some reason I just think it sounds better played just on the piano. And it's like, I'm realizing now that pretty much all the songs on my list are their slower songs. But I think the reason why they made it onto my list is because of all of these songs are just really, 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 really good examples of Connor Mason's vocal range. And I hate that I'm just going to say every time we get to a new song on my list, I'm going to say, yeah, I really like this because it's vocal range. But it's just the case, because that's one of my favorite parts about Nothing But Thieves in general.
Yeah.
Just listening to them, I like listening to his vocals. So all the songs on my list are good examples of what I think are the best examples of his vocals.
Yeah.
And the piano version, since it's more acoustic, there's less of the, it's been edited less in production.
Yeah.
So I feel like it shows his capabilities better.
Yeah, and like acoustic or piano versions, it's definitely easier to pay attention to the vocals.
Oh yeah.
Because there's
less
3 other instruments
music
playing.
distracting it. Yeah.
But yeah, good pick. Can't wait to get to that because I definitely like piano stuff and
Yeah, and the piano version is only on the deluxe version of that album, so
cool.
You'll have to make sure you find that.
Okay, so number 3 for me is Excuse Me.
Nice.
Not going to say too much about it because you were talking about it earlier, and I definitely agree with pretty much everything you said. But again, just a really good opening track. Really draws you into the album and the band itself, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that the vocals definitely good enough. Like all the musicianship on the album or on this song was good enough to say like, hey, we're
This
nothing but
this is who we are.
thieves. We play
Yes,
this
this is
kind of
who we are.
music, you know.
Yeah.
Check us out. It's a good statement maker. Like, this is us. You either like us or you don't.
Yep.
It wasn't trying to please anyone. It was just musicians writing music they liked. Because that's really what it comes down to. Real musicians, they write music that they enjoy. Not so much
exactly
of what other people enjoy. And I definitely get that feeling with this band. So yeah, excuse me, number 3. We're on number 3, right? That was number 3. Yeah.
Yes, that was number 3.
Okay, sorry.
So my number 2 spot on this list has to go to Take This Lonely Heart, which is on their newest EP that they released in 2018. And the EP is called What Did You Think When You Made Me This Way, which is a lyric from the song Forever and Evermore. But Take This Lonely Heart is just, it's one of my favorite songs, but obviously it's on this list. But it's just so good. It's also one of their, slower songs, but it has a very, very nice progression to it because it starts out really slow. He's singing, much softer at the beginning of the song, and as it goes on, you can hear just the emotion increasing a lot, and like by the end of the song, like I get goosebumps because you can hear the emotion in his voice, and it's just it's so good.
Yeah. So EP, a year after their second album.
Yeah.
That might mean a new album too. Since they are just starting their career, so.
Yeah, I would say they're getting ready to come out with something new. And I'm excited because the whole EP is just so delicious.
Yeah. I've always felt like EPs are underrated.
Yeah.
Because even though, like, the album that comes after the EP might not even have those songs sometimes, like, half of the time it doesn't even have those songs. But, I mean, it's just good. It's like, here's some stuff for you. Gives it to the fans. So it's like, hey, here you go. So don't complain that we're not releasing a new album yet.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, I can't really say any examples at the top of my head. I might be able to find one if I really looked. But EPs are a good way to kind of, like, do experimental stuff on.
Yeah.
To see how fans react to it instead of making a whole album and being like, oh, this was a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's safer. I think it's safer to do an EP and be experimental or do something new with it. And if people like it, then it's like, okay, we would keep doing this,
Yeah.
Especially if it's a band that's been around for so long,
Oh, yeah.
All right, so my number 2 is Ban All the Music.
Oh, yes. So good.
This is my number 2. And do I really have to talk about this song? I mean, it's probably the most popular song, really. But it's like so good.
So when I first heard the song, this was me discovering nothing but Thieves. Yeah. The opening guitar riff sounds a lot like the opening guitar riff to what is the name of that Beastie Boys song?
I wouldn't know.
God, I just had it, now I lost it. What is the name of that song? Sabotage. Sabotage is the name of the song. So anyway, their the opening riff sounds very, very, very similar to Sabotage, and so seeing the name of the band, Nothing But Thieves, I thought, oh, they're a band that does cover music. They just do covers of songs and change it up a little bit, and that's why they're nothing but thieves, because they're stealing other people's music and making it their own. So that's kind of what I thought at first, and then it goes further into the song, and I was like, oh, no, this is something entirely different.
Hey.
And I listened to the whole album, and I was like, yeah, no, this doesn't sound anything like anyone else's music, so that they're not just stealing other people's music. But I just thought I would share that because I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. But yeah, the guitars, of course, one of my favorite things about this song is the chorus. The riff during the chorus is so good.
Yeah.
But, it's just overall a good, really good song. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's just... We talked about it earlier, so...
Yeah.
Okay, so... Honorable mentions before number one.
Honorable mentions.
Just probably limit it to just a 2 or 3.
Yeah, I limited mine to 3, but it's so hard.
Yeah,
There's
definitely.
so many.
Definitely one of my... Or 3, I'd just say 3 of my... Okay, here's my 3 honorable mention. Sorry, I Was Just a Kid, and Wake Up Call.
Nice.
I like all those songs, and they're really good, but just... They're more like 6, 7, and 8, in the list.
Yeah. For me, my honorable mentions would have to be Sorry, Trip Switch, and I'm Not Made by Design. Which I'm Not Made by Design is on Broken Machine, and
I like Trip Switch too.
Yeah, that was one of their songs that's one of the songs that got real popular that, kind of brought Nothing But Thieves into the light. But yeah. I thought it was good, but I definitely didn't quite make it on the list.
Yeah. Alright, Ben. We are nearing the end. Number 1. Your favorite Nothing But Thieves song. What is it, Ben?
My number 1 favorite song by Nothing But Thieves would have to be Last Orders, which is just a single. It never made it onto any of their albums. It was on the Graveyard Whistling EP and just never made it onto the album, but it's one of my favorite. It is my favorite song. It's the one that I always go to when I decide I want to listen to some Nothing But Thieves. And it's also one of their, kind of slower songs.
Yeah.
But
what was the name of the song again?
Last Orders.
I need to check that out.
Yes. It is so good.
So they had an EP before their self-titled debut?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one of the songs.
I would definitely check that out. Yeah, that surprised me. I was honestly expecting you to be like, ban all the music.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to be the trendy one, and I was going to be the kind of...
the hipster?
Yeah. I thought I was going to be the special one. But, I mean, it's still a good pick. My number 1 is Graveyard Whistling.
Nice. That is also such a good one.
It's very atmospheric.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those songs that gives me the chills, in a good way. I'm not scared of the song or anything.
Yeah, no. That definitely should have been on my list. Yeah. But there's just too many good songs to pick.
Yeah, it's hard. But, yeah, Graveyard Whistling. Great song. My favorite song.
Yeah.
So good.
But yeah, Last Orders is also just extremely atmospheric. So
yeah, the majority of our favorite songs were kind of slower ones too, more of like the slow atmospheric ones, except for like Painkiller, because that was kind of like really fast.
Yeah.
More heavier.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was on my list. But yeah, the slower stuff. I mean, they're good at the rock, you know, like it's kind of like the alternative indie rock. They're really good at it,
Yeah.
but this band really shines when they start doing the slow atmospheric songs because they have they have more musical freedom with it, especially with the vocals, you know. And of course, you mentioned that like 5 billion times.
Vocals, that's the best part.
Yeah. Hey Ben, what was your favorite part about None of the Thieves again?
Probably the drums.
Well,
no, it's definitely the vocals.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's something better. I was going to be like, hey, who are you? What did you do to Ben?
Yeah.
Okay, so anything else you want to add to the music talk before we close things out? Whether it be about Nothing But Thieves, Switchfoot, or something else entirely. There's no limit, so if you want to talk about something real quick.
All I really have to say at this point is definitely check out Nothing But Thieves if you haven't already.
Yes.
And a good place to start would be following both of our top 5 list, because I think all the songs on there are just really solid songs. Yeah. And kind of let you know what Nothing But Thieves is all about.
Yeah. And one song that we both had, you had it as your number 5, and I think it was my number 3. Excuse Me?
Yeah.
That was the opening song. So honestly, just start with the album.
Just go there.
The album, their self-titled debut.
Yes.
But yeah.
That's the best place to go.
Do you want to just go ahead and rate their first album?
Yeah, sure. Might as well. I'm going to give Nothing But Thieves self-titled album probably a 9 out of 10.
Cool rating.
I don't know. Maybe a 10 out of 10. I really like this album. Nothing But Thieves is very, very quickly becoming my favorite band, if they aren't already. So, and it's because of this album. So,
I think Switchfoot needs to come out with a new album quickly.
Yep. Or else they're gonna lose me.
They're gonna lose you. They need to come out with an album that goes back to their old stuff very quickly. Yeah. I'm gonna have to strap you down to a chair and just make you listen to Switchfoot all day.
It's always sad when you lose a favorite band to another favorite band, but I think Nothing But Thieves is deserving. Yeah.
No band will ever be deserving for the number 1 spot for me except Megadeth. That's just how I am.
Yeah. That's fair.
It's really just that one album though, but that's for another podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nothing But Thieves, I think I would give it a 1 because I hate this band. I was joking the entire time. I only did that just so we could still be friends, Ben. I didn't want to lose you.
I'm gonna die.
No, I'm just kidding. I think I'll give it about an 8.
Nice. That's acceptable.
Because, I mean, this is just from my personal taste and whatnot, but I don't want to give it too high of a rating because if I give it like a 9, it would be on the same level as like a Dream Theater album for me, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'll give it like an 8, 7.5 or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
I'll go with a 7.5. How's that? Yeah. That's my final 7.5.
I mean, yeah, for me, like, alternative rock is my favorite genre of music. So obviously, this is like peak alternative rock. You can't get any better than this. But with you, your favorite is metal. Although I know there's like 600 different subgenres of metal, and I don't know which one is your favorite.
But let's go into that real quick because you just said that alternative rock is your. I mean not like all the different genres, but like alternative rock is your favorite genre. Is that finalized? Yeah. Like that is definitely your favorite. Okay, so my favorite is probably melodic death metal. It's something on the lines I'm going to name a couple bands. Flesh God Apocalypse, Meadow's End. These bands that kind of add the orchestra, piano, classical stuff to the metal, to the like extreme death metal. Because like for a while it's been like, do I like progressive music more, like progressive metal or death metal? And I'm like, wait a minute, it's like there's this other genre right here. But yeah, I think melodic death metal is my favorite.
Nice.
Even though I haven't heard a whole lot of variety of bands. But yeah,
Nice.
with all that out of the way, we are going to end this. Because I think we're done talking. There's nothing else to talk about. I thought this was a really good flow of things with the music we were talking about. They were kind of both relatively in the same genre. We kind of went off topic and talked about other stuff, which was good. Nice flow to the podcast. I'm very proud of it. So, any closing thoughts, Ben?
I don't think so. I think I'm good. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. It's my pleasure.
All right, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I work at Chick-fil-A just in case anybody didn't know. But yeah, follow me. Well, subscribe to my YouTube channel, I guess. This will be on YouTube and Podbean. When searching for this, I mean, you can type in Metal Gladiator, but the actual channel is Ian Sylvain's podcast bundle, because I do plan on doing different types of podcasts. So
Nice.
subscribe to that. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just call it Ian Sylvain. Follow me on Instagram at Ian Sylvain 1776. And then you got Ben over here, who has a YouTube channel but doesn't do anything on it.
Yeah, no, I haven't touched it.
But you can follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at 10GrimParker.
10 Grim Pokemon. Nice. So yeah, appreciate you being on this episode. It was fun.
Thanks for having me.
Alright, and I will see everybody in the next episode of Metal Gladiator Podcast. This is Ian Sylvain, the Metal Gladiator, signing off.